Hi, hello, YouTube. We're doing another raid build video. This build is for Decidueye. I'm going to give you 5 different Pokemon based on a physical Decidueye that you can use this weekend. Now, I do understand that Decidueye can be a mixed attacker, and Decidueye has access to both Nasty Plot and Swords Dance. But I feel it's very unlikely for it to have both Nasty Plot and Swords Dance. So the Pokemon we're going to cover today are based on if Decidueye has Swords Dance, and then a couple special moves that it wouldn't be able to boost. I think we're going to do another 5 on if it has Nasty Plot, but the reason I'm leaning into it possibly having Swords Dance, because of its signature move, Spirit Shackle, and because of its ability, Long Reach. Now, with that being said, Long Reach is a pretty bad ability. In this situation, it would really only activate on like a Ferroseeds or a Ferrothorn's Iron Barbs. It would activate on an Ampharos' Static. So it's not a great ability. But in the past, with both Cinderace and Greninja, their abilities were pretty useless in raids as well. So we spent 6 hours calculating damages. But every single one of these Pokemon and all my past raid builds have been damage calculized in order to survive and also deal damage. So I think the 2 Pokemon on everyone's minds are Iron Hands and Miraidon. So we're just going to start off with Miraidon. I have a common theme with my Pokemon is we lean into special attackers because special attack Pokemon can take advantage of Acid Spray. We'll get to that. If you've watched my videos before, you understand how much I love Acid Spray. But in this situation, Miraidon is a really great pick because of its base stat total and because of its resistances and because it sets electric terrain when it comes out with the Hadron engine. The problem with Miraidon and why I can't just be like, this is the #1 pick, is because half of you probably didn't buy Violet. You probably bought Scarlet. So getting a Miraidon is not easy. For the most part, this is a hard Pokemon to get versus something like an Iron Hands where you can catch as many Iron Hands as you want and technically trade them out. But Iron Hands is physical. So physical Pokemon don't mesh super well with Acid Spray, where these Pokemon do. Before we get into Miraidon, I did go through all the possible moves that Decidueye could have or could not have. In the past, we've seen raid Pokemon open with 2 different moves. Charizard would overheat and then clear its stats. Pikachu would Rain Dance, then Surf. Cinderace would bulk up and then attack. And then Greninja would double team and Toxic Spikes. Does it make sense for Decidueye to Spite, Synthesis, Roost, or Double Team right off the bat? The reason I'm saying no Double Team is because we already seen that gimmick. So I would assume that Game Freak would want us to see something new. I don't also think it would defog right off the bat either. Because defog would mean that you would have to go first and put up screens, and it's going to go first too. But specifically, what we talked about right off the bat is it could Nasty Plot or it could Swords Dance. I could also see a possibility of Decidueye just being annoying with Confuse Ray, and I can also see Decidueye using something like Feather Dance. Feather Dance would lower your attack stat by 2. This is actually perfect for us because if it's going to waste the time Feather Dancing, all our Pokemon that I'm suggesting today are special attackers. So I guess this would maybe only apply to people trying to bring Iron Hands or maybe something more physical like King Gambit. And because I do think it might have defog for later on in the match, I'm not really heavily relying on screens for our builds. I mean, some of our builds do have screens, but defog would be slightly annoying if it did. Defog also gets rid of something like Safeguard, which if I think it's going to have Confuse Ray, I was looking into Safeguard, but defog gets rid of Safeguard as well as screens. So can't really win in that situation. Finally, Decidueye could Tailwind, which isn't that big of a deal in a raid situation. Anyways, it could Grassy Terrain, but it wouldn't get the Grass boost because it's a Flying Terra type. It's not touching the ground, therefore it doesn't get the increase from Grassy Terrain. And it could Light Screen, but I don't see Decidueye being a screener compared to maybe other Pokemon. Like if we ever eventually got a Mewtwo raid, I could definitely see Mewtwo using screens. And then we have the special type moves. And these were all calculated for the Pokemon we are showing off today. But we are calculating off the physical moves. So Spirit Shackle, Leaf Blade, and Brave Bird are the strongest 3 stab type moves that Decidueye gets. And then it can get some other stuff like knockoff, sucker punch, giga impact, U-turn, and low sweep and low kick. While I don't really see it having low sweep and low kick, this actually makes Pokemon like King Gambit a really, really bad pick if it does have one of these two. But let's start off with Miraidon. Our Miraidon's going to be bold with Electro Drift, Parabolic Charge. I can't say that. Calm Mind and Metal Sound. I don't love Metal Sound because it doesn't work when the shield is up. We could also put something like Reflect on, or if the worst case scenario, which we would get to in a special build video, Light Screen and Scarlet has access to. We're going to do 252 HP, 56 defense, and 200 special attack with the Terrain Extender and the Bold Nature. The reason we're doing Terrain Extender is because it makes Electric Terrain last 8 turns instead of 5 turns. And ideally, we don't want to die. But also, that's one less turn for us to worry about resetting up terrain. If you make it to the end of 8 turns and Decidueye isn't in the range of dying, there's probably something terribly going wrong in your raid. So I kind of think about it like that, where 8 turns should be enough to clean up or maybe see the finish line when you're doing a raid with other people. Calm Mind obviously before a shield goes up. Calm Mind after the shield goes up. Parabolic Charge to get health back. And with the specific EV spread, it's going to let us survive multiple things. So specifically, this EV spread lets us survive a +2 attack, assuming it's Swords Dance, Spirit Shackle, which has a 1% chance to 2-hit KO us. So I guess we could put a little bit more defense in, but I think 1.2% is really, really great. And then, of course, if somebody ends up reflecting, Spirit Shackle becomes a 0.2% chance to 3-hit KO, so most likely a 4-hit KO on that. And Leaf Blade, we always have the crit checked here, so I do think more often than not it is going to lean into the Spirit Shackle. If we uncrit that, Leaf Blade is only doing 18%. It seems like raid bosses prefer to do the strongest move it can do, so our EV spread is specifically designed around taking in as many Spirit Shackles as possible. And again, that's in a situation with a Adamant Decidueye at a +2. And that's why our EV spread is the way it is. Okay, let's say you don't have a Miraidon. You bought Scarlet. You bought the goofy, I run with my legs and not my wheel version of this game. So you don't have access to Miraidon. I actually think the best non-legendary Pokemon to bring to this raid is Ampharos. Now, Ampharos does have an ability that Long Reach would avoid, which is static, but we're actually going to do the plus ability. I'm going to explain why. So before we get there, Ampharos has decent HP, a great special attack, and pretty decent defenses. It has a bad speed stat, but speed is not that important in raids overall. But we are going to run a bold nature on Ampharos with the ability plus. We're going to give it the magnet. We're going to give it 252 HP, 96 defense, and 160 special attack. It does get access to Thunderbolt, but we're actually going to run Discharge. It's 10 weaker, but it has a 30% chance to paralyze, and that works when shield is up. And you'll notice 2 moves that you're probably not super familiar with. The first move is Cotton Guard. Ampharos is one of the very few Pokemon out there that can learn Cotton Guard. And if we assume that Decidueye is a physical attacker, Cotton Guard gives us a +3 defense increase when it's used, and it's incredibly good, and it makes Ampharos pretty impossible to defeat. You wouldn't even have to hit it twice. You literally just have to hit it once, and then you get a +3. And then if we go to the damage calculator, even if Decidueye is a +2 with a Swords Dance, and our Ampharos is a +3 with 1 Cotton Guard, no screens up. Brave Bird is doing at most 17%, Spirit Shackle at 23, Leaf Blade at 26. That is not including crit. And then Low Kick at 15. And then with screens up, we are sitting at, make sure I'm bold, 11, 15, 17, and 10. Now, the reason we have this very specific EV spread of 96 in defense and 252 HP is because there is a small chance that Leaf Blade could crit, and crit ignores screens, and crit ignores the defense increase. So this prevents Leaf Blade from one-shotting us by having that defense increase at a +2. And then if there is no +2, Leaf Blade has to 3-shot. And it would be really crazy for Decidueye to get 3 crits in a row. I guess anything is possible. But as you can see here, with 1 Cotton Guard, Brave Bird is doing 6% at most, Spirit Shackle 8%. Leaf Blade ignores that stuff, and then Low Kick. And then with Reflect Off, you can see that Ampharos is really hard to defeat. One of the other moves that Ampharos gets that you may be unfamiliar with is Magnetic Flux. Magnetic Flux is really cool because it increases the defense and special defense of any Pokemon that have plus or minus. So if you're standing next to another Ampharos, this would increase that Ampharos' defense and special defense. Also, we're going to talk about Toxtricity. Toxtricity can also take advantage of this. So if you were Ampharos, Miraidon, and Toxtricity, Magnetic Flux would give 3 Pokemon on the field a special defense increase and a defense increase. It's really great, and 2 Ampharoses can really buff each other and buff the other Toxtricity there. You could also have a situation where there's 1 Ampharos and 2 Toxtricities, and you're giving the 2 Toxtricities defense and special defense boost. So, if there's no Toxtricity standing next to you, and there's just 2 Ampharoses, you could probably just Cotton Guard. But for the plus and minus, you not only get a special attack boost by standing next to something with plus or minus, but you would also be able to access Magnetic Flux, which is really great. Ampharos can also get access to Light Screen and Reflect. And if you care about Charge Beam, you could also put Charge Beam there. Pretty much how to play Ampharos is you're going to start off Cotton Guarding and or Magnetic Fluxing. You don't need to do both. And again, the reason I suggest 6 moves is you can kind of adjust to your playstyle. And then Discharge for consistent damage. Because we're going to see a lot of Miraidons come to this raid, we're going to lean really heavily into electric type attackers because you will get that 30% increase from electric terrain being up. So we're going to take advantage of that with Magnet, Discharge for damage and for paralysis. And then again, if you have a Miraidon next to you, which is just going to do more damage, you can go ahead and Helping Hand it if it's boosted, or Helping Hand something else that is boosted next to you. Or you can boost yourself with Charge Beam. It just depends on your playstyle. All right, our next Pokemon is going to be Bellibolt, which is a fantastic Pokemon for most raids. Bellibolt is one of the 2 Pokemon that we are bringing that has access to Acid Spray. And our Bellibolt, again, is going to be bold with 252 HP, 88 defense, 168 special attack with Acid Spray, Parabolic Charge, Chilling Water, Electric Terrain, with the possibility of, obviously, it can learn Light Screen and Reflect. We are going to Chilling Water / Acid Spray support. Obviously, Chilling Water is going to help, especially if Decidueye can Sword Stance behind a shield. Parabolic Charge to get our health back. Big Root actually takes advantage of this, so you get more HP back. And then Acid Spray to lower the special defense, which does work behind shield. So Miraidon or Ampharos or yourself can hit harder. I guess we could go into why it's 88 defense, but based on the last 2 Pokemon I talked about, it's literally to make sure that instead of getting 2-shot, you get 3-shot. The 2-shot would be because of a +2 from the Sword Stance. So how I would play Bellibolt is if Decidueye opens with a Sword Stance, you would want a Chilling Water 1 to 3 times just to get damage under control, especially if there is no Reflector. And then you would want to Acid Spray to start getting the -6 there, so then you can do good damage. Electric Terrain, just in case you don't have a Miraidon near you to boost all electric type attacks. I don't see you hitting that button a whole bunch. But then obviously you can do consistent damage yourself with your attacking charge. Our next Pokemon here is Toxtricity with 252 HP, 136 defense, 120 special attack, either the plus or minus ability with the held item Shell Bell. We're going to have Acid Spray, Nuzzle, Thunderbolt. And then if you're running the Amp form, you're going to be running Charm. And if you're running the low key form, you're going to be running Magnetic Flux. Again, we'll probably build a separate video for if Decidueye is a special attacker, but you'll have access to Snarl there. You could also put Taunt. You could put Discharge in case you want that over Nuzzle and Thunderbolt and you want to fit some more stuff in there. We do want to take advantage of plus and minus, especially with Ampharos being such a good counter to Decidueye. Because again, if there's 2 pluses on the field, or if there's a plus and minus on the field, you're going to get that special attack boost. But also you get to take advantage of Magnetic Flux. The EV spread is just like the other EV spread. The defense is there to survive from being 2-shot from a +2 Swords Dance, and turns most of them, if not all of them, into a 3-shot. But again, you have another Acid Sprayer that would sit very well next to a Miraidon. You have the ability to paralyze 100% through the Raid Shield, and then you're able to do very consistent damage with Thunderbolt, or if you want, Discharge instead. Oddly enough, Charm is available on both, but Magnetic Flux is only available on low-key form. But Toxtricity is a great pick here. And then our final Pokemon would be Rotom Fan. Rotom Heat would actually work as well. It has the same resistances, so I guess you could do Rotom Heat. Bold Nature, Light Clay. I like to have a Pokemon that has access to both Reflect and Light Screen. In this case, it is possible for Decidueye to have Swords Dance but still have special type moves. It is also possible for Decidueye to have Nasty Plot and have physical type moves. Having a Pokemon that can both Light Screen and Reflect with Light Clay is really great. Rotom does get access to Discharge and Thunderbolt with Nasty Plot. I do think Discharge is a little bit better in raids just because you have a higher chance of paralyzing, and every time the raid boss cannot attack, that is a W for your entire team. So I think the sacrifice of just 10 less damage for an increased chance of paralysis is always a win. The only thing I don't like about Rotom Fan is it doesn't take advantage of electric terrain because it is floating. So that's a bit of a bummer, but that's just Rotom in a nutshell. Again, the EV spread here is to survive 2 hard-hitting Spirit Shackles. So that's why we have 120 in defense, 136 in special attack, and 252 in HP. But I think Rotom is really consistent for just a double screener. Now, I did say at the start of the video, it is possible that Decidueye has Defog. I don't think that's the end of the world, and I don't think that should prevent you from screening, because he has to hit the defog button to get rid of your screens. So if you're resetting screens and he's wasting time defogging, that's at least time he's not attacking. So I still think there is some validity to having screeners, especially if he does lean into the mixed. I said this for Greninja, and I'll say this for Decidueye. If it ends up being mixed where he has 2 special attacks and 2 physical attacks, the raid does become a lot easier because Decidueye can't focus on one specific stat. Whereas if he does have Brave Bird, Spirit Shackle, and Leaf Blade, plus Swords Dance, that becomes a harder fight to deal with. Although I do think the Nasty Plot with like Hurricane, Leaf Storm, and Shadow Ball is a weaker set than the physical set. We did run calcs on if he'd had a couple mixed with this Swords Dance set, and all these Pokemon do fare very well. So I think that's it. There's probably a bunch of ice Pokemon you guys are thinking of, like Weavile or Avalugg or Abomasnow. Don't bring Abomasnow, it instantly dies to Brave Bird. But ice-type Pokemon don't resist flying. Electric Pokemon do. So the fact that the Decidueye is a flying Terra type and can get Stab Brave Bird or Stab Hurricane, having the resistance of flying because of electric Pokemon is undeniably good, and you're hitting for super effective. And because of the amount of Miraidons that are coming to this raid, automatically setting up electric terrain, you're getting a 30% damage increase from electric terrain. So ice is a bad defensive type. Electric is going to resist flying, and electric is going to take advantage of a 30% free boost because of Miraidon. And so it's kind of silly to not take advantage of all those situations that are kind of in front of you just because you really like Abomasnow and you want to set Snow. It's just not as good as electric here. And then, like I said, these are all special attackers to take advantage of Acid Spray. Even if you only have one Acid Sprayer, that still benefits the entire team immensely. So that's what I would go with. And I think that's it. I think that's our video. Raid builds will be on Instagram and Twitter as well. And then we will probably do another video of if Decidueye is a Nasty Plotter, although some of these Pokemon might be similar, minus we changed some EV spreads. So when Decidueye comes out on March 16th, we will be streaming it live on Twitch. twitch.tv/PKMNcast. And if you need help, we will help you get through Decidueye. And I will make another update video on Friday, finalizing Decidueye's moveset and maybe making any tweaks to these movesets that we've posted today. But we have calculated a +2 Adamant Decidueye with the possibility of also having special type moves, and we have built Pokemon that would survive that, and therefore, hopefully you feel confident in some of these choices. I think all of these Pokemon work really well together, which is always my goal of building multiple Pokemon, is to make sure they work together. I think you have some options that are fun to use that just isn't Miraidon. I can't imagine doing 30 Decidueye raids in a row only using one Pokemon. So you have a couple options. Maybe you caught a shiny Mareep and you really want to use it. Now's your chance for that Mareep to shine. So thank you for watching, and hit that subscribe button, I guess. But we will see you guys next time. Bye.